So, what we've learned over this entire Los Angeles Lakers season is that they are possibly in the biggest sense of purgatory in the NBA, and it trickles down to not only just the coaching, because we're always formalizing what happens on court, and yes, that is coming into a factor when it comes to your team's success. It also happens in the front office. Jeannie Buss is just compromising on what she can, noticing that ticket sales would dry up, and compromising over the first round picks in an overall bust. All I'm saying fairly is that Los Angeles Lakers are the basketball versions of the Manchester United soccer team. Decades worth of history and success because of lack of parity over the history of their team. Teams are trying to actually add up and advance their ways of success and compromising off an individual player. This is like when Cristiano Ronaldo returned after a 10-year hiatus off success from better teams. And it sucks to say that, because I like LeBron James. I have nothing against LeBron James. The nigga's 40. And he's the second or third best performing player on the Lakers. They recently lost to the Atlanta Hawks, for God's sakes. That happened barely 5 hours ago. It's even more concerning that they came from third best in the Western Conference over the start of October to barely even finishing, like 8th? And this came over an overtime finish. And what I got over all this, the best performing player was Trae Young. A career record 20 assists, over 31 points, over LeBron James dropping 39 after an underperforming shooting splits over his last 5 games, going 0 for 16 from behind the arc, breaking that streak after he played against the Miami Heat where they lost by 40, and Anthony Davis providing a bit more impact defensively and offensively, doubling the fact that after losing a lot of depth over the past 3 seasons after the Western Conference Finals appearance. And knowing all this mediocrity, nobody wants to be on this team, because they're either going to be squandered over in the media for mediocre performance, having to play a forceful role, and knowing there's no structure, knowing JJ Redick has to coach an NBA team for the first time of his coaching career, the first time in a coaching staff, the first time orchestrating a roster of grown men. So I don't even know how that should be feeling. And by the way, they're 10th. How they're following up after only winning 1 out of their last 5 when they can beat the shit teams barely by 1 when they played the new Utah Jazz, to when they got pimp slapped by the Heat just a few days ago, when they got pimp slapped by the Minnesota Timberwolves, when they got pimp slapped religiously after an 8-point loss to the Thunder, or they get their consummate spanking by the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic nearing a triple-double performance. And the only thing that they could talk about is D'Angelo Russell needs to get traded. LeBron James is possibly is too old and he probably needs to leave the team. And it's a consummate form of what's gonna be the primary factor if the Lakers are willing for success, or to just roll over like this is a team. This is still a basketball team. One person doesn't determine your success. Technically that does, but it doesn't revolve around what future that you form over with your team. Because knowing how much you guys are above over in the cap, and the legacy of your franchise even developing a standing tenure of who was going to be the primary guy, because people thought that was going to be Anthony Davis, and sometimes whenever he performs, yes, he had a great career game where he was the second highest scorer on the game, but people are expecting that consummate development of him in the prime of his career, nearing 30, to be a prime successor, and he's shown to just be a relatively coasting second option when he's there, and he's supposed to push over the defensive end as at least a defensive player of the year candidate, to at least show some All NBA style that he can. but sometimes not in a consistent effort because Rui Hachimura cannot shoot. Dalton Knecht is a working progress that got to push rotation minutes of a starter for a contending team over a competitive Western Conference. And the last 5 Hawks players out of Okongwu, Bogdanovich, and DeAndre Hunter outscore Dalton Knecht and Gabe Vincent. The only people scoring higher than that is barely in 10 points, and that was Max Christie. D'Angelo Russell, that actually had decent shooting splits over his last 5, like scoring like 14, 15. He was like 4-4 shooting, then he was 4-5 against the Miami Heat. Then he keeps getting shifted on defense. I saw the Hawks really exploit their terrible transition defense where they push 5 over in the middle of transition thinking it's 2000 something, and they're not going to chuck it over in the middle of transition for a touchdown pass. You'd be seeing 4-on-2 fast breaks. On the minimum, it's lunch meat for Jalen Johnson. That's like a 6'8" wing coming in. He's going to attack over the rim. Last time I saw a Hawks game involving the Los Angeles Lakers, he got nuts to the face with his Tim's I saw Austin Reeves got nuts to the face posterized by Jalen Johnson last time I saw the Lakers play, and now you made Zachary Ristisher look good against at least majority of your roster. You had Gabe Vincent performing. You can't have a rookie outperform 10-year veterans that have an established rotation and Cam Reddish. That over 21 minutes of rotation, all he did was cover a steal. It's an embarrassment. That shouldn't be a standard of a franchise that have as many championships as the Boston Celtics. Now chasing, and over the bare minimum of play-in success. For all you Lakers fans out there, that all because you think you have name brand players means that you guys are contenders, I need you to cut over the delusion and establish that your team is not even better than the Sacramento Kings. You guys can barely even beat teams that are battling for the lottery, and you're proud of that? And when you guys play real basketball teams, you falter, can't adjust to tenured coaches that even with the lack of a well-known roster can outplay you in the middle of sluggish transition defense, and then you expect your best player to come around, still transition over in the defensive end, and he got to push over and attack over in the rim like a real big, and nobody can press over the floor because all they do is just flail around and wait over in the corner. Nobody's pushing their fucking weight, and the rookie coach got to adjust over to that and still try to feel like he's going to adhere to a deep playoff run. The Lakers are pushing themselves into failure. And the worst part is, we don't know what to do after the failure. The Lakers don't know what to do after failure. And that's a source of purgatory that you don't even hear from the Lakers back in the decline of the Kobe era. When we had Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Nick Young, George Hill, I think it was Jordan Hill. I think they had Luol Deng or Georges Niang. Not Georges Niang. They had Gudel Deng or a bunch of like washed rotation players and Brook Lopez before he developed into a well-known big in the league. I mean, he was well-known around Brooklyn, but tried to push it over to a big market to be a fringe bottom 10th seed minimum. And now the Lakers look like they can regress and just battle over with postseason success before they go over to a dodgy trade that's going to possibly get them into more trouble than they should be. Because the best thing that I feel like Lakers fans could do, and shout out to Legend of Winning, is just see what are the faults and what can be the improvements until next season. And I'd hate to say this, because as much as you want to push over this qualifying, like, no one should be thinking over making a Western Conference final, that making just barely surviving an eighth seed appearance off a play-in appearance should be a source of improvement. And knowing that you're a glorified media stunt of just getting Bronny to just play with his daddy is the highlight of all this. This is the consolation of just so much shit that now you guys are going to falter with. What if Anthony Davis can't tolerate this? What if the locker falters over? Or JJ Redick's incompetence developing an actual stationary defensive scheme to actually stop when they get cooked over before they even enter their own side of the floor, and then get cooked over transition ball where they blow double-digit leads every game. And I'd be seeing this any Lakers game that airs on TV. Especially when you got players with a brain like Trae Young. That if he was a bit more athletic or bigger, he would have got a triple-double easy. Bogdan Bogdanovic looked as good as D'Lo when he was up in Brooklyn. Okongwu is doing shit Clint Capella used to do when he was up in Houston. Grabbing second chance boards, muscling around the paint. While you had Anthony Davis and LeBron attacking around over in the rim. And I don't even know why the Lakers are even so aggressive on trying to push over the perimeter ball when nobody can shoot. Nobody can fucking shoot. There's no shot they should be shooting like this. The only person that was consistent was a 40-year-old. If we're counting Gabe Vincent, this was his best performance I've seen from him all season, after he went over a streak of 0-0-0, pulling up legendary Hall of Fame 2K Tony Snell numbers. That's very depressing, to know this is the standard of what you were getting, and you're holding over on guys that are just going to get regularly DMP'd, that are just on the roster just to collect checks, and healthcare. I'm being dead ass. And the worst part, I'm going to hear about more of what the Lakers are doing and whose finger is to blame. And it's the Lakers themselves. Because they put themselves on this thing. They put their own selves on the hot seat. And the only thing to do that's going to be a bandage, or somebody's going to be getting rid of, is not going to be the guys that are pouring out this shit product on the floor to begin with. Because now they push 12 and 11 and sub 500 with a team that's going to be hungrier, better, and just more aggressive. Like the San Antonio fucking Spurs. The Sacramento Kings that have been faltering after high expectations after getting DeMar DeRozan. But fall out of consistency because of inefficient shooting. Hell, I think people have more expectations if Zion Williamson loses a kilo. And yet you guys feel like your prayers are going to be saved when Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood comes back? Even Kobe would come back from his grave and say, "Nigga, please." Like, this is just depressing. So when they become fringe, I'm betting 11th seed around the next 2 weeks. After the holiday break. And they come around over the new season. And I see Stephen A. lose like another fringe of his hairline due to Darwinism. That the Lakers are going to pony up and actually try to develop a constructed roster. Even if it's over in the losing front. To know that they actually have a fucking plan. And I feel like a bunch of NBA teams should figure out what their plan should be. It's how we have Brooklyn Nets with a playoff record, avoiding possibly a play-in season, is depressing. The Eastern Conference is incredibly depressing. But at least it looks like everybody's trying to compete, except the Indiana Pacers. So tell me, you guys feel down below that the Lakers are in no man's land? I've been trying to figure this out for the life of me, because you don't know what to get when it comes to if they're trying to still contend, if they're pushing over for the bare minimum, and we're just letting the headlines garner our opinion when we're seeing the product on the floor ain't shit. I'm just saying, and this is over to a Knicks fan, I'm used to a big market delusion of any named athlete that we have just makes us a top contender. God knows I thought D Rose and Joakim Noah was going to finally hook up Melo a ring back in 2017. I know delusion. And shockingly, I still don't drink. That's it for me. Like, comment, subscribe for more on this channel. Thank you for the love over the last couple videos. Even if you disagree or not, I appreciate the discourse. That's it for me on the DST show. Enjoy the rest of your night.